Before we kick off, does anyone have a hypothetical?
No.
No.
I do. Why? That's it.
Is that... I mean, it's a great question.
You know?
I mean, we normally like fall. One normally like falls out of the seams as we do our intro. So
That's very true. That's very true.
Is it Matt, technically?
Oh yes, it's
think
me.
so,
It's
yes.
all
yeah,
me.
first fiction week after the fiction. First fact after the special.
Don't worry. I'm
That's
not-
right,
my-
surprise fiction week.
Oh god!
The Tom's
no!
takeover.
Everything
I won't allow
John and
this.
Matt
You've
talk
activated
about
my
today
trap
is
card.
not fiction.
I will self-destruct this network before we can get to that point.
We're on a network, Jesus. The network of Jesus, the lifeline to God, the Holy Spirit. Space.
The network of Jesus was just the 12 disciples, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Now they're up on more.
On the more. Are they the aliens we spoke of last week?
No, the 12 apostles,
No, those are the 12 opossums.
who are obviously aliens who worship God, and thus Jesus, or whatever way round it works.
I blame the Mormons.
Jesus may be God, but God is not Jesus.
Or is he?
Yes, and
God but not forgotten.
Matt, introduce us before we hypothetical.
Fact versus fiction.
Does he like Judas?
Tonight, Matthew, I'm going to be the Zodiac Killer.
you've got the shovel. Go on, Trooper.
Child abandonment is a fun plot device.
Back away. I've got a circle of sin, and I'm not afraid to use it.
He's a drug dealer. Oh, no, wait, no, it's worse. He's a theatre major.
It's not awful so far. Hello. Welcome to this week's episode of Fact vs. Fiction. My name is Matt, at least for the time being. For on Tuesday, everything changes.
We
And
did that
I will-
joke.
When?
When the
Episode
times
4, I think.
changed.
Oh, shit.
Oh shit, the times have changed.
Oh, it is episode 3, actually. Yeah. Anyway.
Regardless, we're using old material here. I'm joined, as always, by John on my Factscapade.
Hi, I'm John, and I'm an alcoholic. You're supposed to say hi, John. This is not how most of the meetings go.
We don't know.
Talk, John.
We don't know. The rest of
This
us
is an
have.
AA meeting, it's a podcast.
The rest
There
of us
is
haven't
a
sorted.
difference.
I thought you were about to say, we keep telling you it's not an AA meeting, it's an intervention.
The rest of us haven't been to therapy yet, so we don't know how
In
it's
fact,
meant to
you
go.
can't stop me.
Sitting above John and me, like usual, are of course both Toms. Take your pick. Who's going to intro first? Fight for it.
line.
Get on a board and fight each other with, giant fucking gladiator earbuds.
With
Like-
giant
like-
gladiator what?
Yeah, like Lance, but softer.
Exactly. John knows what I'm getting at.
I do. It's literally like, yeah, it's literally like you decide,
I was-
pick up a big stick and
Yeah.
put 2 cushions either end of it and just whack people like a bastard with it. Although it's quite it's quite amusing when you hear when the emperor shouts, "Finish them!" and the other gladiator just goes, "Eh," as it squeaks down on the back of the first one. It feels a bit like, okay.
Oh.
I was
gone too far.
about to say I think we watched a different Gladiator because yours had an emperor in it, and I think mine had a referee.
Yeah, that movie with Russell Crowe is weird.
I don't remember Joaquin Phoenix saying anything about this.
You don't remember when Joaquin Phoenix squeaked?
Oh, that classic line
I
from
do.
Gladiator.
Joaquin, ready!
He's watching an anime character. Joaquin Phoenix!
So I'm Tom J, and I'm also an alcoholic. That was the sound of me flicking a beer bottle.
For
Is
the
this
record.
what happens when people have to
Yeah.
join me to
Well, I'd
talk?
already taken the top off before we began
I'm probably
recording.
just
so-
downing something.
Pepsi.
I am Corby, and I'm downing Pepsi Max because I've run out of rum.
No sponsorship, no collusion.
We are not sponsored by rum.
We could be.
Rum, if you're listening.
What generic rum?
The concept of rum,
was
if
about
you
to
want to
say.
sponsor us.
The
I
con-
would be up for this.
Fermented sugar, if you're out there, hit us up.
John, why did you say colluding? What would earth would we be colluding with
I didn't.
Pepsi for?
Rum.
For the record, I winked at the camera. Anyway.
Oh, they knew, John. They heard your wink. You have a loud wink.
Sounds like an innuendo to me.
If
There's a horrible
there's
story
any-
on There's a horrible story on Radio 1 today where this person got introduced to her parents, to the parents of her bloody boyfriend for the first time, and one of them just literally held out dad just held out her hand and said wink, and she said what? And he said wink, and so she just winked at him. He went, oh no, that's my name. To be fair, I think I would have done the same.
I would have done the same thing.
It's called wink.
I would have.
Also, if you're called Wink, you would know that that's a strange name to have, and you would just say,
Oh, he is
"Hi,
being
I'm Wink," or "My name is Wink."
As
Lo
I
and
said,
behold,
yeah.
I have our question. What is the worst name?
Ever.
My uncle's called Keith.
Keith Richards is called Keith.
Yeah.
He's pretty
No,
cool.
You don't say, Tom.
Missed
You
it.
don't say.
Little known fact about Keith Richards is his name is Keith.
His name is Keith.
But only his first name.
I feel like Keith Richards and Mick Jagger don't have the same gravitas if you just say their first names. Oh, it's
Yeah.
Keith and Mick.
Oh, Keith Mick, welcome to the party.
I feel like people haven't put enough effort into Tim.
Yeah, but Tim's short for Timothy, which I hate now that I've
Which
said
is worse.
As a Tom, and who often gets called
As a Tomothy,
Thomas.
yeah.
As a Timothy. That might reach round his screen and strangle you.
I have the box
It already
cutter and I
proved
will
it,
use
good
it.
enough.
What were we saying?
Awful name.
What is the worst name?
I don't know. I've played a lot of JRPGs, so I've heard some pretty fucking bad ones.
Oh,
We say English names because I don't want to offend anyone.
I did hear from
What
someone that there was a person at a particular school there is called Hunter, but he was a vegetarian, so everyone just called him Gatherer, and I thought that was great.
Oh, that's good.
Like you've just been like, why parents have you cursed me?
Oh, I do feel bad for all the kids who are currently called Khaleesi.
Oh, yeah.
When the Game of Thrones was good, and they were like, "Oh, I'm gonna call my
Well, no,
child Khaleesi."
I don't feel bad for the kid called Breaker of Chains. That guy's going to do something.
The irritating thing...
name on like one of those forms where you have a box for each letter of your name, and he hasn't got enough
Oh, God.
because his name's too long.
The
Nice-
irritating
nice
thing
names long.
about the Khaleesi naming popularity is it's not the name. Regardless of the decline of Game of Thrones quality, Khaleesi is a title.
Yeah, but
Her
people
name
are
is
calling him
Daenerys.
King, that's the thing.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess if they were... But do you really think that people are doing it deliberately, or do you think people are
No, I
stupid
think
enough to
people
make
are
that
dumb.
mistake?
Maybe
to
people
think
have
of,
looked and go, "Oh, they call her Khaleesi. That must be her name. I'll call myself that."
I don't hate names that are too long because I feel like there's effort gone into that. I feel
Yeah,
like there's some sort of thing gone. I'm
Nobody's
sticking to more
called
like
Algernon,
three.
but Algernon is a great name.
I do like an Algernon.
As name one of my NPCs in Cthulhu, Algernon Blackwood, I believe.
Oh, there you
Anyway, but yeah, Kurt. Can we do without Kurt?
Kurt Russell.
Fuck.
Gary.
Oh, nobody likes a Gary.
Oh.
Although the Gary Vault in Fallout's terrible.
I wouldn't
Gary!
Brad, Chad, or Tad because
I
just
would.
because the humor though.
Oh, okay, yeah, the humor.
Yeah. If rhyming names have got to stay. Oh, wait, no, by that logic, Gary has to stay.
Damn it.
Hmm.
What else have we got?
Barry. Barry is worse than
Ever
Gary.
liked a Jerry?
I've never met a Jerry.
Exactly.
I don't believe I've ever met a Jerry, but I've spent many a Saturday morning watching a cartoon Jerry fuck about with a cat.
Oh, Spencer. That one.
Ooh,
I can go.
Yeah, no, I do not like Spencer. I
How
knew a guy called Spencer.
You just walk up to someone like you should be a surname. Yeah, just-
Names first name
wasn't-
should be surname.
Wasn't that
Surname!
how people were just named back in the day anyway? You were surname first name.
Oh,
A lot of people
Spen-
have
Spencer,
those.
son.
don't like that. Okay, I'm
Big
on...
Tom, that's Little Tom, that's
Cardboard
middling
box Tom.
I'm on
Welcome
close.
to our cafe.
I'm on close to looking at 94 terrible names. I hate the name Lorelei. I just don't like how it's spelled.
I mean, it's a good song by Styx, but other than that,
Oh, no.
I,
Malvolia? Who the hell's called Malvolia?
As I said earlier,
I'm gonna say it sounds like a cough medicine.
as I said earlier, I did an order for a person called Malgazata, with surname was
Malgazata sounds like a warlock. I'm not gonna lie.
But it's like it's don't let down by the second name.
Malgazata
Oh my god.
Malgazata the Ascended. He sounds like a fucking warlock.
I've got to the boys' names and they've just listed Abaddon and Azazel. It's like, yeah, of course you wouldn't call your sons that.
Why wouldn't you call your sons Azazel? That's an awesome name. That's Nightcrawler's dad.
It's also gonna get
Abaddon.
you're gonna get scapegoated to hell as a
I think
child.
is a name we got to throw into the ring of bad names. A name which literally is just a wart, but rose in popularity because the character in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is called Veruca.
Oh.
Horrible.
Like, I've got one here that I've never heard of. Brone. Spelled Brone.
It sounds
That's
like,
one letter
that's
off of
what
being
Scooby-Doo asked
brony.
Shaggy to
So,
throw him.
Yep. Calvin. I do not like the name Calvin.
Do you like the name Hobbs?
what about Klein?
Calvin and Hobbes is good, but I don't like the name Calvin.
What about Klein?
Number 13, Dracula.
Wait, they just took the A off Dracula.
Wait, that's an actual.
That is an actual
Dracul.
name.
That's a pretty cool name, to
Isn't
be honest.
Dracul the surname though? Samael. S-A-M-A. Is that Samuel?
Is that like
It's
someone was trying to do a Will I Am situation, but they got it wrong?
I'm sure Samael's like an actual name.
Okay, no, I've got it. Tristan.
Oh, no, I know
Tristram.
Tristan. He's alright. He's a good bloke.
Tristan.
From Diablo.
Yeah. What? Oh god, I've got a list of top 10 stupidest names. Oink. Gay. Spelled G-A-Y-E.
Oink!
Oink is top of the list.
Not to call someone out, but
Interestingly, the fourth name down is the X AEA-12.
for Elong's kid.
Uh,
Not to call someone out, but my mother's definitely got a client at work called Happy.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I says
that's too much pressure to put on someone when you're naming them.
also a name that I can't stand for pulling out of Kingdom Hearts. There's a kid called Ephema. Fuck that guy.
Ugh.
There's this isn't necessarily the name that's bad, more the spelling of the name. There's a character in the book that I'm reading at the moment who I'm choosing to pronounce his name as Ryan, but it is spelt W-R-A-Y-A-N.
I mean, I won't argue with the pronunciation. How many
Everybody
people
does
do you
love
think
Ryan.
we've offended during this hypothetical?
Plenty. Plenty.
Any listeners we have who have any of the names that we have mentioned in the past few minutes, we're sorry.
Also, I'm pretty
you have
sure
such a
like
bad
they've all
name.
been like
Change your name.
they've all been like exclusively male names.
Not Veruca or Khaleesi.
No, yeah.
Oh, I said almost
Oh, if we're
exclusive.
talking about named female names, I hate Tracy with an I at the end.
Who the fuck spells Tracy with an I?
Oh, yeah.
I've met people like that.
Oh, there is nothing worse than someone who says you spell whatever it is with a letter, and it's just like
Yeah.
I didn't
There
want
is-
to spell it any other way.
You spelled
There's a
Tom with a Z.
specific
How
genre.
dare you?
The Z's silent.
The
The Z's
It goes
silent, and
after
it's
the
also
D.
inside the O.
Oh.
It's inside the Oh,
Is that next week when you asked us to invent numbers? Now we've got to invent a letter.
oh god.
Next time on Fact versus Fiction, we invent a new alphabet.
Oh, away from terrible names. John, do you have any in the stack that you're about to drop on us? Oh god, the pain! John, you're on fire again!
Yeah, it's a Tuesday. It's not a Tuesday.
That is a
It's Friday.
perfectly natural segue from what we were just talking about.
Exactly. No challenge for Corby to edit that in.
You say challenge, it's literally just gonna jump cut from John. I hear you have a conversation. Oh God, you're on fire. There is no challenge there, Matt. I cut in and out as and when is required.
I apologise for doubting your expertise.
Right. So, cast your minds back in time to the mid-1800s, and then cast it back a bit further to dinosaur times for a giggle, and then right back to 1850. Anyway.
Oh, that was great. I saw a Stegosaurus.
Oh, what a bagamizer on that one.
I was gonna say, how was it fucking?
Very quickly, I saw a book the other day, which is just like T-Rex Rampage at Waterloo, and it's just the Battle of Waterloo with some guys on a T-Rex with a musket. It's like, I want to read this book.
Sounds amazing.
Is that
like Pride and Prejudice and zombies?
Yeah, I was just about to say, is it like that?
I don't know. I've not read it. Sorry, that was just something that randomly I saw the other day.
You'll know it's the mid-1800s because it's well, it's very depressing and sepia toned, but everyone's got a wonderful accent, so it's a bit like Glasgow. So going on
with less heroin.
That was laudanum back then.
Yeah.
Had
Liquid heroin.
Had Napoleon lost at this point?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But he came back.
What this is?
Oh God! It's Napoleon rising.
Where we start is well, basically the border of Canada. Well, what is to be Canada and the United States.
Canada.
Yeah. Basically, this is after the US and Britain had a little disagreement, and
was that King Philip's War?
A little disagreement. What happened was they tried to ratify multiple different agreements where they were actually going to set boundaries between what was British North America at that point and its various countries and America proper. Yeah.
Is that why the border is so fucking straight?
Yes, I'm going to get onto that.
Barring that one bit.
At first, America just said we're taking all of it, and Britain went no, and America realised it overestimated itself in negotiations a bit and just went, okay, but we get to pick where borders go. Eventually, at the end of the I think called the Oregon Treaty in 1846, they selected the border along the vast majority of what is to be Canada. I'm just going to call it Canada at this point. It'll become Canada later on, so I don't care.
Canada. As the Mexicans call it.
Canada? No, anyway.
That's what the French call it, John.
Welcome to Canada.
Hey, buddy. Sorry, it's the South Park.
That's right, I'm French. I come from Quebec.
You attempted to go Mexican. I could hear your accent. I knew it was coming. Anyway, but yeah, they decided that the majority of it would be run directly on the 49th parallel, which is a line which is 49 degrees, a latitude which is 49 degrees from the equator. So just that line. That's,
okay, so it's not at a 49-degree angle.
No,
which is what I was imagining.
I like some of here's longitude and here's latitude. All right, how do I find X? No, stop it, Matt. Anyway, the thing is, this gets rather iffy when you get to the west of Canada, where basically Vancouver Island, as it is, kind of pokes more into the US's territory. It's kind of like the bottom quarter of Vancouver Island is directly equal with the top part of Washington, and the bottom quarter of it is just north of also a part of Washington. So it's almost like a weird kind of salient into American land.
I know we'll make sure we can throw some
Yes,
pictures
I will.
On YouTube.
Yeah, no, I will do.
Throw up
I'll
the
get
Canada.
a picture for you in a moment. But as said, because of this being very weird and odd, and no one wanted to just cut off a chunk of land and just go, here you go. This tiny stretch of beach is America. Everything else is British. No one really wanted to deal with that. So,
are you sure? I thought Americans liked claiming land. Was there no oil? Is that?
Yeah, but I'm going to get most of it. I don't think there's oil in Vancouver. In Vancouver Island, even. There's definitely oil in Vancouver. Yeah, well, the cars. Anyway.
Nobody tell the Americans cars have oil in them.
That's it, we're invading Persia. No. Just...
I thought you said Persia and got very concerned.
Right,
I think they've got some outdated maps.
I I swear Persian used to be a way. Is that what happened with the war in Iraq and Iran? They thought they were going to Persia.
God.
Just someone desperately trying to correct things on the phone. No, I said Peugeot. The car company? Yes, the car company. What else would I possibly mean?
Here's a good picture to help you guys understand. If you can click on that, you can see where Vancouver Island just pokes into basically America.
It slots right in there.
Yep.
It's giving it a little Facebook poke there.
The funny thing is,
Just a
because...
little Facebook post.
Oh no, I've been nudged.
Do the kids?
I need to
Do
respond
the
to
kids still
Grandpa
do
now.
that? I don't
I
even.
don't think nudges.
I don't think that's a
think
feature on
that
Facebook anymore.
Probably because it was sexually suggestive.
I was going to say, has a poke ever been social? Let's say, you know what? Let's not go down that sentence.
You were
Matt,
like
why didn't you
3/4
poke
of
me,
the
Matt?
way
It was
there.
my birthday, Matt.
John, tell us more about Canada.
Never. Okay.
That ends your section of the
That's it. That's the end of
Basically,
the
if you have a look at that map, unfortunately the viewers, listeners who aren't on YouTube will just have to use their imaginations for this. But basically,
or Google a map of USA and Canada.
yeah, do and look specifically
Your
at
own map.
the channel between Vancouver Island and where the United States is, also known as the sea. Anyway.
Are you referring to like the bay
If
that
you
appears to
will.
be in Seattle, or
Imagine, if you will, the sea.
are you talking about?
I'm dead. Yeah, the little awkward like bite taken out of that area. But no, this area is also known as the Gulf of Georgia, which is it's a strait between what is British Columbia and Washington. The problem was they in the agreement they put it very vaguely. They literally said, okay, the border will continue along the 49th parallel until it gets to this shore, at which point it will go down the middle of the strait. So it continues southerly through the middle of the strait, which is fine and all, until you realise there's dozens of islands in that strait. What is the
Isn't
middle?
that like a right? Basically, does it go right angle down and then right angle left again? Basically,
It has to do a much more. Yeah, it has to do a much more curvy route because of. I'll get a picture of this.
I've always seen Canada as quite curvy.
Yes.
Canada-chan, no.
If I had a country that was a mistress, it would be Canada. Anyway,
Give me a minute. I'm gonna find Canada-chan from Axis.
possibly
From whoever it
more-
is,
They
Axis
call them
powers.
frigid because Canada's just freezing most of the year.
If you have a look at that, this is where
I
this is
hate
where the-
it.
you can see the issues here, and this is where the problems with the borders come, because the British say, oh well, the line should go around the right of the San Juan Islands in the middle, because well that's the most clear defined channel and it's supposed to be southerly and stuff like that. The Americans said no, it should go around the San Juan Islands the other way, and there's a lot of back and forth with this where they keep on getting people together to try and like sort this out, and this and they tried to do a compromise right down the middle. Unfortunately, the Americans said no because they wanted to claim ownership at least of San Juan. They all wanted to for some reason, even though it's a kind of a crappy island in the middle of nowhere, but it's territory nonetheless.
What about the guy
Bit of
called
oil
San
in it.
Juan? Did they ask San Juan about it?
Did they ask the
It was
orcas?
not available for comment.
Did they ask the orcas about it?
Because I noticed one of these islands is called Orcas, and I
Never-
wonder,
Lopez. Did he ask Lopez?
did they ask Willy from Free Willy his thoughts on the
Wasn't have an
matter?
opinion on it. No. Anyway.
Probably.
That's a Free Willy noise even.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's-
I'm gonna
What I
say,
remember
if
him
your
saying
Willy
about-
sounds like that, Matt, you should go see someone.
But the reason why people gave a crap about them was they were good strategic points. Like if anyone got a particular fort on San Juan, you can basically a set of cannons, you can basically control that strait fairly easily, because the British already had cannons and forts and stuff like that on Vancouver Island, so they already controlled that
The
side of
British
it.
already had cannons and forts, and the Americans did not.
So I've just been busy. That's Canada from Hetalia Axis powers.
Oh. Oh, no.
God, you were waiting all the time. Why were you? You had that prepared. Okay. Anyway.
Of course he does. It's Tom. Corby even.
I have anime on demand.
The British
Anime on demand.
I will say the
He's
British.
every anime streaming search
Damn it!
thing you've dreamed for.
That's why my segments are long. Anyway, no. The British literally offered to cede everything but San Juan Island. The Americans went no, and that was basically negotiations for a while. And at this point, anyway, they both decided that, you know what, we're each of us are going to say it's our territory and not worry about it.
Oh god, this is like that island near Greenland.
Yeah, except it's the British and the Americans this
Iceland?
time, so you know it's going to go wrong.
A lot less friendly.
Yeah, that was Canada and Denmark, I believe.
Yeah, schnapps and whatever Canadians drink.
Maple syrup.
Maple
I think it's
syrup.
Maple syrup.
There is no alternative. We have spoken.
The lakes of maple
Yeah.
syrup run thick in Canada.
Do they
Tim
drink?
Hortons.
Can you
That's
drink
also a
Nickelback?
Canadian thing.
Do you want to drink Nickelback?
Anyway,
It's just maple syrup.
it's just him just going grinning at you with the picture of maple syrup. Anyway.
I know what I'm photoshopping later.
The British assumed that everything was going to go their way anyway eventually because they're the British and that's what
Of course
happened.
we did. We had an empire.
Yes, and the island was basically leased out to the British Hudson's Bay Company for the sum of 7 shillings a year, which
That's
is
really
approximate.
fucking cheap.
Yeah, it's fucking cheap as piss. Anyway, because in this, for reference, $10 back then is about $280 today.
Yeah.
All right. Or at least it was 2019. I'm not sure what's happened to America's economy since then. I don't care. Anyway.
Comes and goes.
It's hard to measure the economy in America because they don't have Freddos like we do.
Of course.
So we can quite easily draw a comparison.
We're in debt by 10
In the
trillion
UK.
Freddos.
So what the British Hudson's Bay Company decided where the real money is. So we know what we're going to do, gentlemen. Sheep farming. Yes. It's not as if we haven't got.
I'm not gonna lie,
we
I
haven't
think
got
it's shit
enough already
farming.
back in the United Kingdom. No.
Gonna farm some
Sheep farming in the
shit.
San Juan.
Yes.
Sheep farming in the San
That
Juan
sounds like a really weird movie, like
It
Indian
sounds
movie.
like a weird romance movie. It
A
sounds like
spiritual
salmon fishing
sequel
in the
to Stan
Yemen.
Fishing in the
It is.
Yemen.
It's a shit version of
Sheep
that.
farming in San Juan.
They trick people by making it sound like it was going to be Mexican and hot. And it's just like, no, it's an island. It's an island just the south of Canada. Great. It's temperate rainforest mostly. Fantastic. No, so they transported in 1853. Jesus, 1853. They transport 1,300 sheep, a couple of pigs, and a numerous amount of settlers there to basically run this. The whole operation was put under the charge of a guy called Charles Griffin, who was like a typical Irish herdsman kind of thing.
What is a typical Irish herdsman?
Yeah, I know. He was also aided for some reason by a few Hawaiian herdsmen. I'm not sure. I assume they got them from Hawaii.
Buy some Hawaiian. Didn't know you could buy Hawaiians herdsmen?
No, they were employed. They didn't buy them, Matt.
I think higher might be.
Hire is the right term. Buy a bulk pack of Hawaiian herdsmen. God, Black Friday was good.
So
You bought us.
I know
there's
this
no
is
sheep.
this is dialing it back. This is dialing it back a bit. But John, you said they lent it out to them for 7 shillings, right, or whatever it was.
Leased out
Yeah.
for 7 shillings a year.
So 1 shilling is apparently equal to 12 pence.
Yep.
So
hell, that's
running the math on that, that was 84 pence for the year, and assuming it started in 1850, converting that to now, they rented that out for £113 and 82 pence.
That's
Yes.
cheaper than my rent.
You have to remember, it's the British Empire leasing out an island to the British Empire's money-making companies. They're gonna do it for cheap.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was the Americans.
Oh fuck no! They both
Well,
still assume it's theirs. So
Gotcha.
no leasing out to anyone. Fuck you.
So yeah, with some generous
oh.
rounding, it's 115 quid for the year.
So
I
Griffin.
really hope the Americans don't have the same idea.
Yeah. Well, Griffin quickly settled in, making quite a nice life for himself. He set up a few buildings. He called it Bellevue Farm, which sounds lovely, and settled back and just enjoyed the quiet life of being a herdsman. Quite a nice part of the world, to be honest.
Not in Ireland, where everything.
No, not in Ireland. Ireland,
At
yes.
this period of time.
Is it the 19th century? Yes. Is Ireland shit? Is that even a question? Yeah, no, yeah. But the problem was, he was lived this way for 5 years, no issues at all. But it wouldn't last long because in 1858, gold was struck in the region, not in San Juan itself, but in the region around near it.
In the sea.
And yes, no, the various islands and stuff. But and this means thousands of excitable Americans turned up.
Excitable, not enthusiastic.
To be fair, that's
excitable.
oxymoronic. I should have just said that's just no, not oxymoronic. It's just it's
John,
implied.
John, are we about to
yes?
go on the Oregon Trail?
No, no, we're not. No, we're not. Yeah, this is separate. But so literally between April and July of 1858 alone, 16,000 treasure hunters turned up.
Ooh, that's
Most of them pissed off home after a couple of months, but still.
A couple of months, though.
Yeah, most of them. Yeah,
Matt, it took them a month to get there.
They wanted to go back home because winter was coming.
Out of curiosity, how big is San Juan and the islands around it? How big are they?
Oh, not massive if you look at it. I mean, Vancouver Island's not gigantic, so it's if you look at the size of it there, so San Juan, I'd say, is probably about the size of it's probably a size of a medium city, so only a couple miles, not massive.
Jesus.
Enough to keep some sheep and an Irishman on.
So big enough.
Yeah, but the problem is some Americans decide to settle, and a few of them reach San Juan Islands, and they built cabins and claimed them for their own use. Because as far as they were aware, it's American territory. As far as the British were aware, it's British territory. You can see the issue happening here. So 25 Americans in total set up houses and cabins on San Juan Island and started living there. And the British population was still one Irishman and a few hired herdsmen.
No, bought herdsmen. He bought them.
For £115 a year.
I'm slavery in this time, Matt.
How many Americans do you think it'd take to beat a single Irishman? Or are we about to find out?
Is the Irishman in a pub?
I mean, he's living with his pasture. I don't know. That was a poor
What an answer!
I don't know what that sentence was.
One of these
Oh,
particular...
Tom, yes.
No.
For listeners,
that was lightning fast.
Tom has done a lightning quick Photoshop of the Nickelback guy with the photo, and the photo is maple syrup, and it's glorious.
Tell you what, we'll put that on Twitter at some point.
Anyway, do go on, John.
Wrong podcast.
A man for all intents and purposes, I think might be a bit of a fool. An American called Lyman Cutler. Lyman is Lyman as a name, so that is a weird name.
You know that discussion about bad names we were having at the start of the episode?
Lyman Cutler.
You see, that's the thing. Most of the bad names have gone out of fashion, so...
Yeah, probably.
Yes.
They died out.
Lyman. His name instantly sounds dishonest. He's a lie man.
I wouldn't trust him.
Cutler's just making me think of cuttlefish, and as we all know, cuttlefish hypnotise their prey before striking. Dangerous.
Is this your card? Just bam!
Or he does a card trick and then just glasses them with whatever's to hand.
You just see a cuttlefish approaching like a small fish with a tiny top hat and like a little tiny wand. It's like, oh, I know what's happening here. Yeah, I know what's happening here.
I'm picturing like the frog from the Looney Tunes thing, except it's a cuttlefish.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
What was that, John?
the kind of like the
top hat and the kitty.
Hello, Mahoney.
I got it.
Hello, my ragtime
I
guy.
didn't see your other arm, so I just saw you putting an arm over your head.
Just gonna be like a hat, Matt. Matt hat.
Get that now.
Anyway. 1 second, my bloody... Okay. The problem was, he believed that the land was American by right, and therefore he could basically do what he wanted with it. So he dug up a third of an acre of one of Griffin's sheep runs.
So he walked into the Irishman's pasture and just dug it up.
Dug up a third of an acre of it, yeah.
That's not a small amount of land, let's be honest. How did he do that without the Irishman noticing?
Well,
Irish
I
fellas
think
asleep?
I think because it's
He's
fairly
looking the other
cheap
way.
ones, it's probably you won't notice until like near the end of the day or something.
You
But anyway,
notice till the sheep
Oh.
fell in.
I thought you were going to say, because they're fairly big sheep, you couldn't see past them. Like, they're just, the sheep are blocking his view.
well,
Everybody
everything's
knows
bigger in the
Irish
old
sheep
days.
are huge.
Sheep-
Yeah.
I once mistook a sheep for a woolly mammoth.
He brought in some of the strong Welsh breeds.
I thought you were going to say he's brought in some strong Welshmen. The English
for
like that.
Known
No.
for their size to stop them being stolen.
Anyway, this guy, he wasn't good at recognizing land boundaries, but he also was crap at building fences because he immediately built a fence across it, and one of Griffin's pigs managed to basically get through this fence several times to eat this
he's a
guy's
pig.
potato. Yes. Well, no,
That's
it's a
a
crap
persistent pig.
It's a yeah. Oh no. It's not really that. It's just a crap fence. Everyone says it's a crap fence.
Okay,
Anyway,
so just so we can clarify, this guy's dug up half or a third of an acre of someone else's sheep pen,
built a fence across it.
built
Yeah.
a fence across it, and planted potatoes in it, all without
Yes.
the Irishman noticing.
I think the Irishman noticed. I don't think he could fucking do much about it
Too,
because
too drunk to get over there.
he's an American. He's got a gun. Anyway,
That's true.
Does the Irishman have a name?
Yeah,
Or are we
Griffin,
just going to
whatever
be
it's called.
referring...
Charles Griffin. Yeah, I said it earlier.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, you said earlier.
It's
Because I've
fine,
just
I know.
been... Everyone had been saying The Irishman, and I've been picturing Robert De Niro for a while.
That's who he's played by in the film.
Irishman. Anyway, basically, this happened a number of times, which the lady claimed the animal had been at several times a great annoyance, and because he kept on coming, getting through and gorging his potatoes, and then angry American gets out and get out of here, and just like
He's
basically.
got my potatoes! Quickly, piggy,
Yep.
go get them back!
Pig-wise, this is described as a breed which is called a large black pig, which is it's a very it's a very weird.
Hey,
odd
you get the
but
description
that is what
across.
the breed is called.
Is it
No,
small and white? That's ironic.
No, that would be a small white. It's also a breed of pig. I'm not kidding. That is anyway. But what happened? We get it's his record that says it's broken through a couple of times. We know it broke through at least once. What happened was the last time he caught it in his potato patch, he was furious and he took his gun and he shot the pig.
I'm just imagining, just in my head, dramatic slow-mo as the pig is eating potatoes, looks up, sees the gun pointed at him, opens his mouth, a potato falls out, and then it just looks the camera goes skywards and you hear the shot go off, and the birds fly out from the one or two trees on this island.
Cinematography by Matt.
So this
And the pig says Rosebud.
I have no idea what that reference is
so
to.
this whole thing this is the start of what historians call the pig war.
Oh, yes.
Oh my god.
Yes. This is what I live for.
Yes, I'm gonna find
This pig's family are going to come for revenge.
Yeah. Oh well, no. There's pissed off Charles Griffin because obviously he was very annoyed at this point because
That
Americans
Yeah.
have all moved on to what is his land, and like they've put fences across parts of his fucking pastures, and now they've gone and shot his pig. And
That is essentially a declaration of war.
it is. He
It's
marched.
called a dick move.
He marched over to Cutler's house and demanded compensation for the pig. Cutler, who was a little confused by this angry, Irish guy just yelling at him on his porch, said, "Okay, I'll give you $10 for the pig," which in those days is $280.
I do like the fact he's confused. Like, has he just not? It makes it seem like they have not noticed each other.
I don't think Cutler was
Smart.
a very intelligent man. No, he. Well, to be fair, he moved to fucking what's essentially Canada to find gold. Anyway,
Yeah,
originally, didn't he? Anyway.
Canada,
He
but now
and then
for
just
gold.
decided to live there. Like, fuck, there's no gold else to say anyway. But the problem is Griffin. Griffin. I'm not sure if he might have been taking the mick here a bit, but he was very annoyed at this and said, "No, it's a prize-winning boar. It's going to be at least $100, which in those days is $100, which nowadays is 2,800, so 280 quid.
But pigs go for that nowadays, though.
They do, but I doubt it was a prize-breeding boar. If it was just a
I
pig
don't
on
know.
a
It
crappy
got through
sheep farm,
fences and ate potatoes. There's a dangerous breed.
That pig's
Yeah,
got gourmet
right.
taste.
It was large.
Gourmet pig.
It's probably historical, but we get reports that basically arguing. It's like keep your pig out of my potatoes, and say, well, it's your job to keep potatoes out of my pig. like that. That's probably historical. But what did happen was Cutler basically said, no, why'd I have to pay anything? It was trespassing on my land, which obviously hit Griffin off, and they got rather heated. And Cutler basically said, if you basically come back, I'm going to shoot you, as I would a hog, which he obviously did. Anyway.
Very rude.
Now, by just weird luck, which is probably unlucky for everyone else in this scenario, the Hudson Bay's company vessel carrying 3 people drew into the island that very afternoon. These people were Alexander Dallas, Dr. William Tolmie, and Donald Fraser, who were basically in charge of various different parts of the factory's land, of the company's land, not the factory's land. And Griffin immediately ran to them and said,
the whole time, we've just not noticed.
That'll be bad. Griffin immediately ran to them and said, "You shot my fucking pig!" And
exactly like that.
Yeah. What are you, fucking pig? Put his fucking brains out. Potatoes earlier. No, anyway.
The cinematography was amazing.
You filmed it as sepia, the bastard. No, anyway. Anyway, they immediately went to Cutler's house and confronted him. All 4 of them did. And they asked how. And Cutler said, "Well, why would I do such a thing? The pig is absolutely worthless anyway." And the others basically said, "Well, this is a British island," which Cutler didn't cough up the dough. He'd just get straight up arrested. And Cutler, who now had grabbed his rifle, was just, "This is American soil, not English." And at which point, when they were confronted by an angry American farmer with a rifle, they beat a hasty retreat. And said, "You won't hear the end of this." Essentially, this British stubbornness, American pride, this quickly spiraled out of control because Cutler then went to the American authorities in the area, and he told them that he'd offered to pay twice the value of the pig. He's technically right because he said the pig was worthless. The bastard.
Wait, no, because that wouldn't work. Because mathematically speaking, if it's worthless, 10 times nothing is nothing.
And he said he paid nothing.
So he didn't offer anything. My brain hurts. I tried to do maths, and it was a bad
back
idea.
in a minute. And basically, the person in charge of Washington dispatched American soldiers immediately to protect our citizens. So 66 American troops disembarked to set up camp on the island. The British responded to this by sending 3 warships. Now,
I see this is escalating.
Appropriate response.
Yeah, the man who was actually picked to be in charge of the troops was a certain George Pickett, who is famous if you know much about the Civil War, which is going to happen.
Yeah, isn't he, in charge of that charge?
Yeah, Pickett's charge, the turning point of the war, where about 12,500 Americans basically walked across a field towards cannons and British muskets.
Nearly what? British muskets?
Not British. Sorry, Union muskets. What the fuck am I about? It could be. I mean, it might have bought them in Britain. I don't fucking know. Anyway, it was really bad because I think there was 1,500 injured, killed, and wounded on the Union side, but on the Confederate side, 6,500. It was pretty. There's a thing from that where there was cannons loaded with double canister shot, 5 of them fired at once at Confederate lines, and literally vaporized them, which is horrific.
It didn't anyway. That they tried to charge in a column. Yeah. It nearly worked.
There's a great quote from Pickett actually, where he said, "What do you think went wrong with the with the charge or something like that? What do you think of it?" Well, I'd say that the real problem was the Yankees the Yankees involved. Basically, it's just the real problem with that charge was the fact there was Yankees there. Which is great.
If it had been any other country, we were fighting.
No, it's the fact there was people over there. But anyway.
Considering the British forces are essentially going to war over the defense of a pig, can we refer to them as the Hog Squad?
Yes, immediately.
Yes!
Now, the Pickett, I don't think, is a massively intelligent man. Part of history, part of that. He was against the initial charge, but he still got stuck in like partly in charge of it. He wasn't in charge of it. Everyone just calls it his because he was one of the
Still
first people.
got named after him.
Yeah, it's like stories have said, never has a regiment done so little to gain so much reputation.
Well, I'm no expert,
yeah,
but from what you described, they literally just walked into gunfire.
That is literally it.
Because they did a line of people a mile and 3/4 long, and they had to cross an area 3/4 of a mile, and they walked until 400 yards away.
They literally
horrific.
They did a Napoleonic tactic, which was to walk at the enemy in column and try and basically intimidate the enemy into one position.
What they should have done was Naruto run to outrun the bullets.
Oh, but Naruto run hadn't been invented yet, Tom.
That was still in glorious Nippon.
They were waiting for the greatest military minds to come up with it.
Which was still shut at the time, I think.
Yeah, I think. Well, actually, probably. Yeah, it was because Ulysses S. Grant's first.
Japanese
anyway, no, it doesn't
isolationism,
matter.
yeah.
What Pickett basically turned up and said, and I quote, "We'll make a Bunker Hill of it."
Oh God!
Which Bunker Hill was basically a horrific fucking battle in the Revolutionary War, where a shit ton of Americans died, but a shit ton of British died too. So it's the kind of thing that the British did win, but they took heavy losses in it. It was the first.
It was like at the start of the war near. I want to say near New York.
It was like the first proper battle that showed that hey, American farmers can actually do something. So it's the first thing that makes the British question the actual thing with it. Yeah.
Damn good at it. Have you tasted my corn? It's the damn ball.
Anyway, so he's an idiot because he's made you say, "I'll make a Bunker Hill out of it," which is like, you guys lost that, right? Which put him in the national limelight. He put his company and battery, because he had some guns with him, near Hudson Bay's Bellevue sheep farm, and unfortunately, because it's another thing that points to him being an idiot, he first set up his camp directly under the guns of HMS Satellite, I believe, a British warship. So he's setting up his defensive position under bombardment range. When someone pointed this out to him, he went, "Oh," and he moved to a better redoubt somewhere else.
I love the idea that he'd finished setting it up, and then nobody said anything. They just heard the noise of a cannon being tilted downwards slightly.
One of the.
Oh damn! Oh, they're there. He just points left, and there's a warship just like that. Oh.
I had the idea of them just turning back around, and one of the tents or whatever they'd set up had just gone missing.
It's been carried away by the cannonball. You just see it disappearing over the horizon.
The British command say, "Little to the left."
Or it's just like a classic Looney Tunes where he just looks to his left and there's a cannon in his face.
Anyway, he ended up setting a camp in the southern end of the island because it was better to get to from the from the bloody American side of things.
I mean, there's one thing I'd like to point out. The British have ships.
The British do have ships.
It doesn't matter where they camp.
And I'm no expert, but back in the mid-1800s, we had a fucking lot of them.
It's not a big island.
Yeah,
it sounds like he's making a real pig's ear out of this.
Hey.
I will say he started with 66 Americans, but because of his fucking "we'll make a Bunker Hill out of it, boys," nonsense, he attracted a lot more Americans. So eventually, 461 Americans with 14 cannons were on the island by early August.
Oh, Bunker Hill! Lots of people die. Hell yeah!
Get more people, yeah. No, but the problem is he faced here. So 461 Americans with 14 cannons faced an even bigger British fleet now of 5 warships with at least 70 guns and 2,140 people. So I can't see this going well if shit does kick off.
Bunker Hill. You want to repeat this when we got
island
back.
gets leveled. It's an Irishman just screaming, "Not the sheep, please, not the sheep."
Oh no, my other hogs.
But the issue is, because obviously the British could clearly take that if they wanted, but both sides have been told, "Don't shoot first, stay on the defensive." This so make your presence felt. B, do march up and down, but don't shoot anyone. but the British Rear Admiral Barnes was basically agreed. He's got a quote from him saying that two great nations in a war over a squabble about a pig was foolish. Which is
No.
So it's the kind of thing where literally soldiers kind of lined up and just yelled insults at each other, trying to get the other guys to shoot first, so they could open fire on them. So it's just basically a lot of shit talking for essentially months.
It's basically like the build-up before a wrestling match.
Also, at this point, most of the people who know about this mainly are the governors of the area and a lot of the local populace and some soldiers. Eventually, the news gets back to Washington and gets back to London, and both countries go, "What the fuck is going on over there?"
An appropriate reaction, I think.
Just a letter on the
I have a great image of just someone walking into Parliament and just being like, "Guys, you're never going to believe this."
The Lord, pig war.
Sounds like Hogwarts.
Well, this does sound like a
My
spot
lord,
of
I
bother.
have news about the Boer War. The Boer War? No, the Boer War.
This gets back to James Buchanan, the President of the United States at the time, who is very worried by this, because he is dealing with a massive amount of tension in the US, because obviously there's the point where people are starting to think about secession, the Confederacy, because that kicks off 15 years later, something like that. And people looking for any excuse to start shit off. And now he's thinking, well, I've got to deal with keeping my country together, and now I've potentially got a war with the biggest empire in the world over some big pork, and that's fucking it. Wayward Pig has possibly condemned me to death.
Oh. Carry on, my wayward pig.
No, stop!
He sent the best guy for the job, who was General what's his name? General
Lee Christmas?
Winfred Scott. No, never him. He'd hide in the jungle and shoot more pigs until something happened. You just hear glass being crunched in the background. It's like,
At which point he realises he's on the wrong tropical island.
Hey, as long as he's on one side of the American border, it's right, isn't it? But no, it's so. What happened with that was they sent him because he'd already sorted out many border complaints already between the British and the Americans with amicable results. So it's like, okay, if I've got to end up a way where no one gets shot, this is probably the best option.
Send in that man.
Send in the pig diplomat.
There was a lot of discussion between both sides, and eventually, after a couple months of doing this, both sides agreed to scale down their forces on the island.
They did an armistice and agreed to de-escalate.
Yes. You're allowed no more than 4 pigs on this island. 5. Okay.
And they can't be watched by the warships.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but,
it's like literally, it's a miniature Cold War. In the sense that
this is the Cold War of the 19th century. I will say that, and it continues. They agreed to limit it to 100 troops each on the island, and they both stayed in their own camps. So they had the English camp on the north end of the island, and the American camp on the southern end of the island, and lots of horribly confused civilians in between. It's like, is this going to be a war zone? I don't know. All I do is mind the
Should
sheep.
we leave? I don't know. There might be gold here. We've never found gold.
No, it's
been
literally.
years.
But because the occupation was front in the news before that, and there was civilian tourists and people turned up just to have a look. You have people it's like how people sat and ate picnics or watching the Civil War go on.
Yeah,
It's insane. Yeah, some of them got hit by cannonballs.
Obsessed with the idea of a war being a tourist attraction, an ongoing war.
Seriously, in one of the first engagements of the Civil War, I think it might have been the first battle, there was a guy's farmhouse was on the battlefield and he refused to move, and to the point where he was sat at his window just watching the Union and Confederacy have it at each other. And he was on the Confederate side, so he had to leave when they lost.
I like how he picked a side preemptively.
So
I'm not fighting, but I'm definitely with them.
I will say why before this, what happened was a small town called San Juan Town had sprang up, because obviously Americans are great with names.
I was going to say Swaziland for some reason.
Small town called Rhodesia had sprung up. No, it's not. San Juan Town had sprung up, full of just these tourists, but also full of lots of people who are trying to get away with crimes. Because this is an international dispute, no one has technical jurisdiction on this land. We can do what we want, and neither one can technically charge us, because we're technically... They both think they've got jurisdiction, and they're fighting over that instead of us.
You know what that means, boys? Steal that pig.
Yeah. No, it literally...
Talk time, boys!
Literally, like, bars and brothels and everything sprung up on this town. And this is a problem, because eventually it's just the kind of thing where soldiers fucking ended up there. Get back to your lines, you drunk whoremonger.
Fraternizing with the Americans.
But yeah, there was no clear-cut civil authority, so it was the kind of thing where, like, literally, soldiers were just pissed off to go get drunk and the like. And end of the summer, tensions died down, and then they started doing that ceasefire. But it's the kind of thing where like they were sending illegal wool through that. They were like almost laundering wool through the island because they knew that they could get away with like not being like properly tax free. It's like, oh well. So it's the kind of thing where historians at the end of 1 year averaged that each sheep, if you took the amount of wool coming out of the island, each sheep would have had to have been shorn for at least 150 pounds of wool. so it's that much. I never expected a wool laundering scheme, but here we are. Anyway.
Like, of all the things to launder, wool has never crossed my mind. Not that I think about laundering things often. I think about laundering wool, but not laundering.
Well, it seems like they've managed to pull the wool over your eyes there.
Yeah. But
Tom's actually on fire tonight with these puns. I'm not gonna lie.
I can
damn,
feel
Tom.
your hatred, and I'm feeding on it.
I can't talk. I'm terrible.
Yeah, I will say the English camp was constructed by 80 Royal Marines who turned up.
And the Royal Marines at that point?
Just Marines. Sorry, it was 80
I
Marines.
thought you meant they were 80 years old.
They were 80 years old.
These guys were the George. I'll name this guy because they're under the command of this guy called Captain George Bazelget. Because I read it and just went basil geese and just
Captain Basil Geese.
That is not a captain you want to be serving under. Just FYI,
What?
Captain Basil Geese.
And Captain Bazelget land. They actually, despite being opposite sides, they actually really got on. They actually kind of became good mates.
It's like that thing from when I did way back, I had Joffrey, Spencer, Spice, Simpson. I had that thing about the other guys on the other lake who used to go drinking, and then they found out the war was on, and one of them torpedoed the other.
Yeah. So they end up getting really on together. They actually end up cooperating to try and stop all the liquor and stuff being sold in this crappy little shanty town, this middle of the war zone. And they got so well, they eventually started just fucking off to Victoria to just get drunk together. Like,
when we're off duty,
you guys supposed to be commanding this weird little Cold War.
when we're off duty, we stop them drinking. When we're off duty, we go join them.
It's like if Gorbachev and Reagan sat down for like a nice.
I would
dinner
love
or
if they got. Tear down that shot, Mr. Gorbachev. Yeah. I will say so the joint occupation lasted for, I think, 12 years.
12 years?
Yes, from 59. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't say 15 years ago. For the fuck, 12 years, something like that. Because
it was a miniature Cold War.
It lasted through the American Civil War.
You're kidding.
Oh
No.
my god!
No.
Pickett had to bugger off at some point.
No, Pickett literally resigned his commission so he could go join the Confederates. He did wait for his replacement to turn up, and then his replacement turned up and then bye, and then fucked off to go join the Confederates. So he's a polite little boy anyway.
Well,
Wait, so what a soul.
I love the idea of, sir, I'm resigning my commission to go join the rebels. I'll wait here for the next 2 months while I get my replacement.
Yeah, like, who owned the American occupied site?
Who does own the American? Like, that's the thing. No one knows.
It was just the Americans.
Yeah, it's disputed territory, isn't it? Both sides. But the thing is, I would have loved to be one of the 100 soldiers there. Like, I could be getting shot in a civil war, but still I'm on San Juan Island.
I'm preventing the British from making
because it gets better because what happened was the 100 people left there in that kind of ceasefire, 100 people each side. They just decided, well, fuck it, we're not doing anything anymore. Let's party. So, like, the Americans invited the British over for July the 4th to get drunk. The British invited the Americans over for Queen Victoria's birthday to get drunk, and the historians may say the biggest danger to anyone on that island was the copious amounts of alcohol, where people it was the party island throughout the Civil War. So it's great. You don't get bayoneted in a fake charge down in Gettysburg. You just get to have a couple of drinks with your.
Anyone else feel like
Maybe
the Americans
ride a sheep when you've had one too many?
I will say, Charles Griffin left Bellevue Farm in 1862 after all this bullshit. It's like, you're not getting my pig back, so he left.
His pig's dead.
And exactly. He's not getting the money back to the pig. So 1861, George Pickett resigned to go join the Confederate forces.
Corby, what were you going to say?
I'm going to say, do you not just think that the Americans inviting the British over for Independence Day is a bit fucking...
It's like a slap in the face.
That's a bit of a passive-aggressive...
They're bringing the booze, isn't it? So, that's all.
Come celebrate you losing us.
Oh my god, you didn't win. You little twat. You just had that shot. All right. It's like... so it's... it just the front lines of the pig war remain peaceful. It was I will say the funny thing is the American officer that replaced George Pickett ironically was called Captain Tom English. It's like,
you can't make this stuff up, fucking hell.
So as I said,
I can't wait till we meet his rival, Jeffrey American.
Yes. Hello, I'm Captain John Yankee. Now, the funny thing is, the soldiers are getting on great, and actually the people of the island, civilians, were the ones who are starting to get fucked off now, which is really they were chafing under the military presence, which is annoying which is ironic because they called in the military in the first place. And I just go, there's just drunk soldiers everywhere. This sucks.
The economy is booming.
Yeah.
Except it's kind of all based on illegal woolen drinking.
The illegal wool trade is draining our economy. We'll have to call in the Welsh to fix this.
No one is collecting tax on this island. No one's collecting duties. It's
of course, because it's disputed territory, so one side can't tax.
Which is why illegal activities are going through the fucking roof, and people were wool smuggling and all fucking things.
My great granddaddy was a wool smuggler.
Yeah. That sounds like a sex thing. Anyway. Now, if you remember, the actual pig incident happened in 1859. Yeah. We're in 1869 now, and negotiators have finally decided, right, let's actually try and solve some dispute over this island. So they agreed to the British and Americans agreed to arbitration. And the thing is, they both said that the Americans basically said, we don't want to compromise. We want all the island or none of it. So pick one of those two options.
I wonder which the British should pick.
Yes. Can you guess who they got to arbitrate the actual agreement to say, okay, this is fair. This is what we're picking.
Please not Mr. Pickett.
Pickett.
Kaiser Wilhelm I of Germany.
Yeah, he's pretty non-biased to both of these parties.
I've got that with this. I'm like, oh.
To be fair, no one was expecting the Kaiser.
It's so out of
a new challenger approaches.
Kaiser Wilhelm.
Anyway,
oh wow.
Hello, I'm Kaiser Wilhelm, here to settle the swine debate.
I'm Kaiser Wilhelm. Was this about a pig? I don't like this. I'm out. Anyway, he did quickly dump it off on like 3 civilian arbitrators because I don't think he wanted to have the final decision over pig law.
Got that request. Like the only reason he must have agreed to it is like, oh yes, I can stick it to the British. There must have been no other reason.
Not much going on in Germany.
Actually,
the British and the English didn't really have that much of a hatred at that time. Because I remember the English royal family is German. It's 1869. before well before World War
Yeah, I
One.
was going to say, did Germany even exist at that point? Or was it still Prussia?
I-
Was it still the Prussian Confederation?
I think it had literally just turned to
Just
Germany, or
for
at least he was
yeah.
of Germany.
Yeah.
It might be still Prussia in name, but the Americans picked him and basically said, "Hey, can we have this guy?" And the British went, "Sure," because they were very smart because they had a diplomat called George Bancroft who had been to Germany multiple times, saw out disputes there, and he was the guy to deal with it. So basically, all the Germans knew George Bancroft, knew, oh, he's a decent guy. No one knew the British diplomat. So of course they're probably going to, so he appointed a commission of 3 experts. I'll read out their names because I find them German names entertaining. The geographer Heinrich Kiepert, Councillor Levin Goldschmidt, and Dr. Ferdinand Grimm of the Imperial High Court of Commerce, who sounds sinister as shit.
Ferdinand Grimm.
Mr. Grimm.
I'm Dr. Grimm.
What's the prognosis, Grim? No, Grim did it. Yes, Dr. Grimm's got your prognosis.
So the Harrow or Rosario Strait down the end. The Royal the guy who fucking presented for the British was a guy called Royal Navy Captain Prevost. I can't remember his first name, but anyway, they looked at this case for over a year. And ended up in disagreement because one guy basically said, I would have picked the compromise, but they're not letting me pick the compromise, so I'm voting for nothing. I'm voting for disagreement. And the other two just basically said, give it to the Americans.
I like to imagine that it was just them and the Kaiser just looking at this and being like, how the fuck did they get here? Why is this happening?
This lone walker.
No, these bull coming off this island. It is very nice and very cheap.
What do you mean it's illegal?
It's not illegal, it's immoral. No, anyway, that's fine.
I feel like you went Italian there, John. I'm not gonna lie. That's like
not illegal, it's immoral.
That's
Get out of here. You're not here for at least another 30 years. Anyway, So basically, after 54 years of not the pig war, but 54 years of this being unconfirmed territory,
54 years.
Yeah, because they were trying to ratify it before that. They didn't actually show which was British, which was America. They half agreed to it in 46, but not really. So 54 years, because the 1880 treaty. Yeah, pig war. So they agreed in a ruling issued on October 21st, 1872. The pig war started in 1859. So. And the British eventually left. There were the Royal Marines actually at the time. The Royal Marines left the English camp in November 1872, shortly after the Kaiser's decision was announced. And a few American troops remained on the island until July 1874, because I guess they didn't want to give up the good memories of the party island. Now, the funny thing is, the English camp on the island still stands, and it's one of the only places in America where an English flag is flown for non-ceremonial reasons. We still have a flag flying in America territory on San Juan Island. That's raised every day. I think raised most days. Yeah.
Hashtag retake the 13 colonies.
Or just that island.
Hello, America. Welcome to Monarchy 2 Electric Boogaloo. Anyway, but yes, this was the nonsense that was the pig war. Oh, and I will say, Cutler never paid for that pig.
He never paid for the pig.
Never paid for the pig.
Did he survive the war?
Well, yeah, what happened?
I think he moved away later. Because he's like, the heat's on. But yeah, no. Obviously, Griffin had already left well into the pig coal war that was going on. But yeah, that was the pig war, where the only casualty involved was that one pig.
Justice for that one pig.
John, I know we had a quick chat and said, we'll pick something about similar times, but fucking hell, it's gonna be jarring to go on.
Would you say your report features more or less pigs?
I will say there's a national park there now, and it does mention the pig.
Did they actually find any gold or?
Oh, no, Alan. Fuck no.
No God.
No one ever thinks of the true casualties of war.
Those potatoes.
The first and only casualty, the bacon.
Do you reckon Griffin was just jealous of the potatoes and was trying to train the pig to retrieve them?
Irish.
I'd believe the fact that he didn't like the fact that he'd moved in, so he sent the pig in to eat his potatoes.
Oh yeah, it was going.
I believe that line.
He just saw the potatoes, like, oh, we're not fucking having that again. Just get rid of the potatoes.
There'll be a famine. You've got to destroy them.
That was the name of his pig. Go, famine! Devour his potato!
He's got 4 pigs named after the 4 horsemen. There was a war fought over him.
Cry havoc and unleash the pigs of war.
Oh god, no, not the War Pig War.
Oh man. No,
I can't remember where I found this sword.
Is that what the Black Sabbath song War Pig's named after?
Yes. I will say what Warhammer. I can't remember where I found it, but I know there was at least one orc war boss in Warhammer that rides a big pig called Warpork.